So one of the more complicated things that we have as Roman historians to face is this question of what happens to the Roman Republic when Augustus takes power. Is Rome still a republic? Is Rome something different? What does this borderline look like? And if you look at the propaganda of Augustus and you look at how Augustus framed things, what Augustus says is actually there's no difference, right? This is still the republic. There's just one person in charge to superintend the republic and make sure that Republican things continue like they have done before without civil war. The problem, of course, is that's not really true. The other problem, when you're looking particularly at coins, is there is a very clear division between the first phase of Augustus's career and the second phase of Augustus's career. The division, in fact, is so clear that even though Octavian, the name that Augustus began his political career with, and Augustus, the name with which he ended, are the same person, their coins are not in the same catalog. And actually, the catalogs you have don't even work the same. So when you look at the coins of Octavian and the coins of Augustus, it is, of course, normal to see those coins together and to view those coins together. And if you're a collector, to collect those coins together. But you have to use two different references based on what point in his life and his political career the coin comes from. Sometimes that's pretty clear. So this is a coin of Octavian. It comes from the later Republic. You see Antony on one side, Octavian on the other. The images are pretty identifiable. The legends are quite long. You can find this in Crawford by going to the index of legends, finding one of the legends. The Antony legend is long and distinctive, and you can find your coin. And so this is not super hard, right? We know how to do this. We've done this with other videos. We've looked at how to find Republican coins in the catalog. This you would treat as a Republican coin. But then all of a sudden, so this is from 41 BC, 20 years later, you are looking at the same person, right? This too is the same exact person. This is Octavian as he becomes Augustus. But the way you find that coin is totally different. The volume you use is totally different. The tools that you use are totally different because now, starting in 31 BC, so 10 years after that coin of Antony is issued, you're in the Roman imperial coinage volumes, not the Roman Republican coinage volumes. And there are 10 volumes of Roman imperial coinage because there is a tremendous amount of variation among the coins issued by Roman emperors. So unlike Republican Roman coinage, the volume by Crawford, the RIC, or Roman imperial coinage volumes, separate their entries into sections divided by emperors. So with Crawford, you have a situation where you just have one catalog and you just find, based on the index or whatever you're looking at, you find the coin you're looking at in that one catalog. It has one number that covers all of Republican coins. With these particular coins, it's different. So RIC1, Roman Imperial Coinage Volume 1, it's cataloged by emperors. And so when you look in there and you look in the catalog, you have to first identify your emperor to be able to find the coin. So let's try an early denarius of Augustus just to get an understanding of what we're looking at. So this is my coin. It's not in great shape. It's obviously circulated a lot. When it was minted, it was also minted in such a way that you didn't even get the full legend on either the front or the back of the coin. And yet, there's a couple ways that you can easily identify this. So on the left, you can still make out much of the legend Caesare or Caesare. And then on the right, you can make out all of the legend Augusto. Also, if you're an ancient historian or even an Augustus super fan, or even just like a regular fan of Roman portraiture, you probably recognize Augustus's portrait. It is pretty identifiable. So we know this is Augustus. We know what part of the catalog we're looking at. And the reverse is something that, again, is somewhat identifiable. We don't have the whole legend, but we can see that there are the words, or at least the letters, MAR on the left. And then we have a building. We have a temple. It's a circular temple, and there are military standards inside of it. You can see the Roman the Roman eagle in the middle of those military standards. So the first step that we do is we go into the RIC volume, the Roman imperial coinage volume for Augustus. And the obverse legend we have, Caesari Augusto, that's kind of rare. So that gives us the ability to either look it up in the index or to just browse. And usually when I'm looking at RIC volumes, I like to just browse because actually you learn a ton. Even if you don't have the coin in hand, you see all kinds of different coins that might be interesting or useful when you're thinking about the history of this period and the ideas motivating an emperor. So I tend to browse, but you may not have time or you may not be like super interested in other Augustus coins. So RIC has an index. And the index gives you reverse legends and obverse legends. So the obverse legend, Caesari Augusto, well, we have that right there. So if you look at page 282, you look at the obverse legends, you look down and you see our obverse legend would be listed if we actually had the full thing. And then you see that there's also a reverse legends, an index of reverse legends. I always prefer to browse the catalog though. And so when you browse through this, you see, oh, okay, there's our legend, Caesari Augusto. But you can also find this, of course, by looking at the index, and it will send you to, okay, there are these obverse legends, and they correlate to numbers in the catalog. So here's how we find that match. So we have this coin. We have Caesari Augusto. We see that the lettering actually begins on the left and moves to the right, and it moves in counterclockwise fashion. So with RIC1, you see these arrows, right? So step one, find our obverse legend. We have Caesari Augusto, so we know that already. But what you see are the arrows show Caesare goes starts in the top and goes downward, and Augusto starts in the bottom and goes upward. That's our counterclockwise. And so that's what those arrows mean. You have to know the direction of the letters. And this isn't actually true in some of the later RIC volumes where the lettering is consistently going in one particular direction. It's going basically sort of looping around in counterclockwise fashion, but the lettering is all consistent. The next thing you're doing with RIC1 in particular, but in most RIC volumes, is you're identifying the portrait type. So in RIC1, there are different portrait types that are correlated with a particular letter. So you have three different obverse types, portrait types. You have A, Augustus head laureate facing right. You have B, Augustus head laureate facing left. And then C, you have a toga over a tunic. Well, obviously we don't have C. So we have here Augustus with a laurel wreath across his head. So you can see that with the, you see the sort of leaves that are above his ear. And he's facing to the right. So this is portrait type A. Now, the other thing that you have to do when looking at RIC volumes is you also have to correlate what you're seeing with the type of coin you have. And so you see these numbers, 103, and then next to it is D and AU. D is denarius, AU is aureus. So, so we see our reverse, Mar Ult, with a temple, domed temple with 6 columns, and an aquila between 2 standards. That's what we've got. We've got a temple with 6 columns. We have standards inside of it. It's a round temple. We can't read all of MAR. We can't read any of UAT. That's Mars Ultra. But we do know that's our reverse. So this is our coin. But which one is it? So we have obverse legend 1A. So that's Caesar Augustus with a laureate head to the right. That's number 103. That is not our coin. 104. Well, that's an aureus. That's a gold coin. That is not our coin. So 105A. So that's a denarius. We have a denarius. That's a match for the type of the coin. The legend, that is our Caesare Augusto moving counterclockwise. So the legend that's the number 2 in the third column there. And then A, Augustus head laureate facing right. That's our coin. 105B is basically the same thing except the head is facing left. That is not our coin. So we are 105A. So what do these symbols mean in the RIC volume? So we already talked about D and AU, denarius and Aureus. What about R, S, and C? And these R3, these sorts of things. Those are markers of scarcity. So R coins are rare coins. And then with different levels of rarity marked, and the RIC volume will tell you how that correlates to the collections that they've looked at. S, those are scarce coins, and C, those are common coins. Okay, so that's how we could find a denarius of Augustus. What about a bronze coin? So you can already see that while Augustus's moneyers did not often show up for silver or gold coins, so that coin that we looked at, there's no moneyer on that. There are still moneyers responsible for some silver and gold coins, but a lot of the silver and gold coins do not have a moneyer marked. A lot of the bronze coins do still have a moneyer, because again, for Augustus, what he's doing is he's continuing the republic. So the idea of a moneyer as somebody who continues in his position, that's actually quite important for this idea that Augustus is just superintending a Roman structure that he has basically taken over because it needed somebody to take over. So with this coin, it actually reads a lot like a Republican coin. But we're not using Crawford anymore. This is not a Republican coin. It's an Augustan coin. So the coin has an obverse legend with Caesar, August, Pont, Max, Tribunish, Pot. So that's Caesar, Augustus, Pontifex Maximus, meaning the chief priest of Roman religion, and Tribunish, Pot. This is the way that Augustus defines his power. He defines his power fundamentally as the power of a tribune of the plebs, and that's tribunician power. That's something that we discuss more in the long form lecture about Augustus. Now, the reverse of this coin gives us a moneyer, M. Micilius Tullius Triumvir AAAFF. So Micilius Tullius is the moneyer. But we can't identify this in the same way we would with Crawford by going and finding the moneyer. But what we can do is use the reverse legend and go through the index, and you can actually find the moneyer quite easily. But again, with RIC volumes, what I love to do is browse them because you just learn so much about these coins. And if you're browsing the RIC volume for Augustus, what you see is Augustus's coins are often listed with moneyers' names, and they're cataloged that way. So on page 61 of RIC1, you see here coins issued in Rome with moneyers' names. So if we browse through this, we can now go to our moneyer. This is M. Micilius Tullius, or Tullus. And so there you have him, M. Micilius Tullius at the beginning of 76. So, so you see these moneyers for 7 BC are listed starting on 75, and then our moneyer shows up on 76. So we then match our coin to that list. So there's 4 coins of Micilius Tullius, but each are differentiated. So again, we have our listing of the portraits. So A, Augustus, bare head to the right. B, Augustus, bare head to the left. C, Augustus, laureled, crowned by victory, bearing cornucopia. And D, the same, but there's also a globe at the point of neck truncation. Okay, well, so we don't have C, he's not being crowned by victory. We don't have D, it's not a neck truncation. And he's facing to the right, so that gives us A. So then we go back to Micilius and we see, okay, there's only one of these where it is a coin of Micilius that is bronze. This is obviously a bronze coin, and it is obverse type A. So that's the os, that's 435. So our coin then is RIC1 for Augustus, number 435. And what you also see is there are distinctions between the Dupondius and the os based on the portrait type. So C and D, those are for Dupondii. And then A and B, those are for osses. Now there is one tricky thing about coins of Augustus. A lot of later emperors also issue coins with Augustus's face and name on them. Most of the time, though, that's not a problem. You can distinguish them pretty easily from coins issued during his lifetime. Because any coin that says Divus or Divo before the name Augustus comes from after his death. So this is a coin issued by the Emperor Titus, and it says Divus Augustus Pater. He's dead, right? He's a Divus. He's a god now. He's not a human. So this is not a coin of Augustus from his lifetime. There are pretty rare exceptions, and these are coins. This is a coin that we will talk about later in the cool Roman things section. Um, these are coins that are called restitution issues. And what a restitution issue is, basically is a later reprint or a later reissuing of an older coin that was popular. These coins are usually labeled as restitution issues. So this is a coin of Augustus that has also Marcus Agrippa on the reverse. The front of the coin of Augustus says Augustus Consulship 11, and then you have this image of Marcus Agrippa. But if you look around the image of Marcus Agrippa, you see two legends. One of them says Marcus Agrippa, third consulship, and then it has the name of Cosius Lentulus under it. But around that legend is a second legend. That second legend says IMPCAES Trajanus AUGGERDACPRREST. So this is issued by Trajan, the Imperator Caesar Trajan Augustus. Trajanus Augustus is Trajan. The key that identifies this as a restitution coin, if you don't recognize Trajan, what you can recognize is REST. So that's highlighted in blue on that line. REST is the key because that marks the coin as a restitution issue. That means it's not a coin of Augustus. It's a coin that's issued later by Trajan, and it copies a coin of Augustus, but it is actually not issued during Augustus's lifetime. It's issued by Trajan, and if you wanted to find this in an RIC catalog, you would look under Trajan, not Augustus. So if you see a coin of Augustus and it has a weird sort of second legend on it, or it has an RSET or REST on it, that means it's a restitution issue. It's not a coin of Augustus issued during his lifetime, and you need to find it by looking at the emperor who issued it, not Augustus, but in this case, Trajan. All right, have fun with your Roman coins, and we'll see you soon.